So, Brandon only gave me 2 hours, so we've got to kind of hurry through this. But we wanted to talk a little bit about our mission trip to Florida. And I apologize, I kind of acted like it was a vacation beforehand trying to recruit people. But it wasn't really a vacation, it was work. But it was fulfilling work, so I appreciate that. I want to thank you for your prayers and your support before we left and after we left. And I can tell you that prayer works, because Thursday, while we were there, Thursday about 11 a.m., it got really hot and humidity went up to 95%. I knew that somebody fell asleep, so just try and stay awake when you're praying. But this was kind of a hard one for me. The drive or the work there, that wasn't hard. I've done that before. We've done that drive before and done that kind of work before. But just things kept happening through the trip beforehand and even through the trip that made me struggle and worry and really not want to go. I was want to try and get out of it really bad, but I volunteered to pull a trailer, so I was kind of stuck. So that made it worse. But anyway, Sandra could not go, and that was probably one of the hardest things. That's only the second time we've gone on like 15 disasters, and only one other one I've gone without Sandra, and we said, never again. We support each other and we help each other throughout those, and it's hard to do that way, but we got through it. She had a hard time here too, so that's where the prayers came in really, really well. But on the second day we were there, I think it was, Jeanette gave a devotion. She was giving devotions every day. We had debrief and devotion every night, and sometimes in the mornings. But she gave a devotion and had a prayer, and that prayer that's up, that verse that's up there, she had in that devotion, and that kind of calmed me down, and I was able to get through it, and things just seemed to gel together. Probably more on this one than many of the other disasters we've been on. The team that came, kind of surprising, because 4 of them were newbies to disasters. Never been on a disaster before, but those 4 people, God wanted there. He already had the jobs that he had for them. They were already skilled in those jobs, and so it worked out really well. We worked really good. We accomplished a lot of work. We came back one day early because we actually got our jobs done early, and there wasn't any more workers to go out. And one of the things that surprised me, the young people that were there are the ones that really are the newbies. Even Nancy, she's a newbie, but she's not. She's under 40, but she was able to stay on top of the work. But when we got ready to leave and we were short a day, the young people said, "Hey, we want to stay. We want to work more and do what we can." We drove all this way, and it surprised me. Young people aren't always that way. And so Jeanette went out and she did some more work around. She called people. She talked to the supervisors there and tried to find more things to do, but we couldn't. And so we decided to come back early. We would have had one extra day, but we could have driven further south into more damaged areas, but it would have taken us 2 or 3 hours to drive down there, 2 or 3 hours back again when we left, and a couple hours to get set back up to where we had our camping areas. I'll show you those set up. But so we decided not to do that because we wouldn't have any time left to work by the time we had to head back. So we came back a day early. Doing jobs that were kind of difficult, but I think we did really well. We did, it's unbelievable what we did. Nancy did a crucial part of the work by talking to the people that were there, and I think she'll probably talk about Lily and Millie as she comes up here and talks a little bit. But we worked on 4 houses, and we've got them all in the presentation here. We were able to help the homeowners, and we ourselves were blessed with the homeowners. Jeanette and Scott were our designated chaplains, and they were able to present the gospel to all 4 people. They waited for the opportune time and then stepped in and talked to them. I don't believe anybody was saved. Some of them were already saved, but the seed was planted, and you could tell that they knew exactly what they were talking about. So when we finished each job, we gave a Bible out, signed our names in them, and wished them well. And also a church back east, I think it was Tennessee, that donated money. Anyway, somewhere back east, a big church donated, I don't know, like $2,500, $3,000 to go toward gift cards for Walmart and Home Depot. And so they gave us those gift cards. We handed them a Bible and a gift card, and the people were really blessed by that. And I think from there, I'm just going to go ahead and start on this, so it doesn't really take the 2 hours. It's going to be probably 90 minutes. But let me go ahead and start. So this was our crew. There was the first three people, Blake, Dylan, Jeanette, were from Kearney, and Shirley's from Valentine, and then Nancy and me and Matt from Scottsbluff. We picked up one person in Kansas City, Bob, and then we had two people were waiting down for us in Florida, which was Dick and Scott. And so we actually had, what's that add up to? 7 and 3, 10 people? Thank you. So we had 10 people there total on the crew. Shirley did most of the time in the kitchen. She worked on the kitchen crew, so we didn't see her too much out with us. So these pictures don't have too many of her in there. So she was in the kitchen. Without the kitchen and the laundry people and the shower people, you just can't do that kind of a thing. And so those people are very, very important too. The trailer, I guess I should have took a picture inside it so you can see the tools and things that we use, but that's the trailer we took down there. Oh, Blake. I was talking to Kenna about Blake. He thought he knew her, but it was another McKenna from the school over there. So, but Blake was a very interesting kid. He pulled up to that, when we were standing out there, you saw where we were standing out beside the trailer. He pulled up there with his truck, revving it up. He was a hot rodder kid. And then Jeanette told him, well, go down the street, turn around, come back, and park on the other side. So he went down the street, and he burned rubber going around the corner. I'm going, I'm going to let this guy drive my pickup for, 60 hours, basically. But no, he turned out to be a solid guy, good Christian, read his Bible every morning, put me to shame, hard worker. But as you see there, you probably can't tell, but his mouth is full. And right down here below, you see this bag of cookies? My wife sent 4 dozen cookies with me, 2 different kinds. And you notice that bag is empty. I only ate about 2 or 3, maybe 4. But Blake was just scarfing them down one after the other. So anyway, he's a funny guy. He'd never seen a palm tree before. So he went up. I didn't get the picture. Someone took a picture of him, but I didn't see that in ours. But he went up and hugged a palm tree. And I don't know if you've ever seen palm trees before, but the bark basically goes pointed like that with big old chunks. And there's a point right here on the end. So he hugged the palm tree and had shorts on and got himself all scratched up. So he's no longer a tree hugger, but he is a good worker. So that's Blake. Let's see if this will work. And so we were driving, a lot of scenery, but after a few hours, that scenery kind of gets old. Like I say, it was 30 hours down, 30 hours back. Cotton fields. We finally end up in Venice, Florida, which is about 40 miles north of Fort Myers, I think it was, which is where the eye of the hurricane went through. So we were a little bit out of the main destruction, but there was still a big tidal surge, and that the water is what did most of the damage where we were. There's some more of the church. We stayed in that church. And here's the parking lot. We're starting to fill up. This is where we pull out every morning and pull back in at night. We had tractors and things for the chainsaw crews. And palm trees. More palm trees. And this is the at the dining area. This is the first night, and we had probably the most people I think we had there that first night. People started, it was toward the end of the week, they were shutting down that whole unit, and so a lot of people that first night, but slowly they kind of filtered out. Here's the kitchen area where they were serving us. That's where Shirley worked. I think that's her back there with the towel on, maybe. That's Matt right there. I put this in so to show you up here there's 2 tables. Every morning we come in and make our own lunch. And so they had pretty good lunches. I mean, a lot of meat in the sandwiches we made and all kinds of snack items. Just die? Okay, there we go. And pretty good lunches. So we took those out, put them in a cooler, and then went out to our jobs. At night we had, the meals were there. You saw them pan them out. This one, I took a picture of it because it was probably the best one we had. That chicken fried steak, that was good. I took this picture. That's, by the way, this is Shirley right here. That's one of the pictures I've got of her. But I took this picture mainly because of this guy right there. You guys remember him? He was, all he did for probably 2 hours when we were eating was going up and down between the tables, picking up trash, picking up people's plates when they were done, their cups when they were done, throwing it away for you, so that the people who had been out working all day long didn't have to get up and go throw that stuff away. That guy was a man with a servant's heart. This is the laundry unit, and we did at least a couple loads over there, I think, but they had them all done ready for you the next day to pick up. And the shower unit, and that was the inside. I looked first to make sure nobody was in there when I took this picture. Except for that guy in the window. Oh wait, that's a mirror. That's probably me, huh? So that's the shower unit. Again, without those people there, it made it a whole lot more comfortable for us. And this is where we slept. And I had Matt take this picture because this way you know that every night Jesus was over us. And here's something I have never seen before. The fuel truck, it went out around, it had about a 200-foot hose, and it went around the street, and everybody that was there, including our group of trailers and trucks that were parked out there, they filled them up at no charge. I'm sure somebody was paying for it somewhere, probably government, or NAM maybe. I think it was probably government. But they filled your vehicles up every day, and that helped expenses a lot. This is the first house we went to, kind of in the sunlight there. But this was Lorraine's. Is that right, Lorraine's? And the house next to it was actually, yeah, I've got it. Whoops. I don't know why it goes past that, but it does. Okay. Okay, there it is. So this house, these are kind of mobile units, some trailers, some rolled in modular housing. But this house, you see the roof's all tore up, so that was wind damage. That house has the orange sticker on it. It's condemned. So nobody can live there anymore. So Matt found these, or got this picture before and after. He made this, found it online. Got the picture before, and there's the picture after of the trailer that we actually worked on. And here's that condemned house again, the before and after of the condemned house over there. Here we are inside. In this house, all we had to do was one room, one ceiling. The water had blown up under the eaves and got everything wet. So you have to take all the wallboard out and all the sheetrock out and clean it up good, pull the nails out, so when the sheetrockers come in later on, probably months down the road, because it's going to take them months, if not a year, before they even get somebody to come in and do it. So, and then if there's moldy places in there, we spray them and kill the mold off. So, and you'll see some of that in a little bit here. So this is just one ceiling. It was a quick job, maybe about 2 or 3 hours, and we had it done. Here's the ceiling again. And here's as we were driving down the roads, everywhere you drive, there's these piles. Everybody's pulling everything out of their houses and just making piles. Piles everywhere. Doesn't matter where you drove, there's just piles of stuff piled out by the curb. Here's another before and after of the second house we went to. And luckily, this house has the little carport, yeah. Because I think I've got it in here. This is the pile that we made, and then this is the before and after. I think it was the one across the road there. But you see this tent. And you see the tent up close. This is where the homeowner had to stay. You can't go inside. She tried living inside, but the mold is so bad that she, after a week or two, she just got sick. And it was happening all over town. So everybody, you drive down that street and people are out, have tents or campers if they're lucky. Campers that didn't float away. But they have tents that they stay in all the time. So for those months they're waiting. Well, they can probably go in the house once we get through. But as you'll see in this house, there's not much left to go inside for. But this is the mold. That's about the water level down there. So we take out up here at this line so that when the wall sheetrock people come in, they can put back in one sheet instead of having to cut it. And so we take out the whole thing and pile it outside. This is all stuff that's going to the trash. The furniture's gone, the cabinets are gone, the refrigerator's done, everything's gone. This is another shot of, looks like Blake's rear end, but it's not really, it's of the mold. We just tear it off, throw it on the floor, and then the rest of us unskilled laborers come in and pick it all up and haul it out. This is Millie, right? Yeah, Millie. Yeah, Mill. And I'll let Nancy talk more about her. I mean, this, you can tell by the way that they're hugging there that she became friends real fast. And all these cabinets have to come out so you can get to the wallboard behind them. And it's just trashed in. We haul it out in a wheelbarrow. And basically this is what the house looks like when we're done. We did the entire house. You not only have to take out the trash in the walls, but most, probably, I don't know how much percentage, maybe 50%, 75% of her belongings are trash too. And so they have to, and one thing Nancy did was go through with the homeowners and determine what stuff they want to keep, they're going to try and keep, and the stuff that they're going to throw out in the pile. And because all of it has to go outside so we can get to everything. And there's Blake and Jeff. And there's, after we're all done, we come back through with what's called shockwave, spray it down, it kills the mold that's there, but we have to warn them to, keep the windows open, keep fans going for a few days, let things dry out, otherwise it's just going to come back. And Millie especially, she didn't know what to do after we left, and so we sat down with her and explained how to take care of her house and do what she needed to do. There are some visitors come by every now and then. There's the wheelbarrow that goes out to the pile out there. Everything goes out to that pile. And that's the pile when we were done. And there's our crew. Of course, Blake and Dylan have the cut-off shirts. Yeah, right. So I won't go into any more of that, but it was pretty funny. And again, as you drive, that's all you see on our way to the next one. Blown over trees. So there was some wind there. The houses with the blue tarps on are houses where the roofs are bad and they're leaking in, so they tarp them up. Our unit will actually do that, but we didn't tarp any. We just did tear-outs. Who put these in here? Am I supposed to show them that? So we did have a little fun while we were there. We had an early afternoon off, so we went down to the beach. There was a little video here, but I guess it's not going to play inside of whatever that, it's not PowerPoint, it's the other one. So, but the video was of Blake and Dylan and Nancy and Matt, I think, were in it. And Blake and Dylan were doing backflips into the ocean. So, again, we're driving to our next spot. It was a garden center that they have their house on the garden center, the people do. So, and here we're inside. In this one, we're taking off. Actually, the mold was only growing up about 6 inches on the bottom, so we only took off part. And in one, or 2 rooms maybe. But mostly the ceilings. We had to pull out the ceilings. The water had blown in and destroyed the ceilings. And Nancy and Matt became our vacuumers. And they vacuumed all the rooms when everybody was done so they could be sprayed down. Nancy really loved that vacuum. She wanted to bring it home. She says she went deaf. So, and there she is again. There's out in the front. We didn't have as much stuff there since it's mostly ceiling, but ceilings are a lot of work. I'm glad we had this young, strong kids to reach up there and use our multi-tool to cut it out and yank that stuff off. More blue tarp roofs, trees over. This is our final house. It doesn't look in real bad shape, but you notice the siding's gone from up underneath the eaves. And so when the wind's 150 miles an hour or whatever, and you have torrential downpour, it blew up under there and got into the ceiling. So in this house, we did mostly ceilings. This out in front of the house. And I was talking to the guy before I went in while they were in there, while Jeanette and Scott were in assessing the place and what needed to be done. And he was told me a story about how on both, that's one of his neighbors and there's one on the other side. And when the wind came in, their kitchens were on the were right up toward the outside edge, the back side, and the kitchens just exploded all over the place. And so this is the ceiling, some of the ceiling that we took out, and you see the mold growing up in the, I wouldn't have thought it possible, but it grew up in the fiberglass insulation. This is the upstairs where we were, and that's when somebody, fell asleep praying, and we were sweating, just pouring sweat off. I was mopping the floors, and we were done, and I mopped up my sweat more than I did the water that I had there in the mop. But it was hot. Some more blue roofs. And finally, we're headed back. The 2 bald guys are up in the front seats. Yeah. Again, we're driving, nice scenery, beautiful scenery. And then there's Nebraska with no leaves on the trees at all. We knew when we were there, just like a line. So anyway, that's the end of the PowerPoint, and I'm going to let Nancy and Matt come up and do a little talk first.
Well, I know I can easily fill the 2 hours. Matt liked that because he didn't want to do a lot of talking, but I'm glad Jeff showed all the pictures, and then I can kind of fill in. I really just wanted to, again, say thank you to everybody for all the prayers. I could really feel them. I was very nervous before going. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to do a whole lot. I didn't know what we were going to be doing. I have a lot of pain issues, and I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to do much, and I didn't want to be the weak link, on the team and all of that. But I knew people were praying, and I know a lot of older people go on these disasters. They have issues too, and God always calls the weak. So, and I know that. So we got down there. We didn't really know what we were going to do at first, and then we found out we were going to be doing the recovery. The mud out had already been done. The houses didn't have any more water in them. It'd been already a month. So, and my sleeping quarters where the women stayed, I had a couple girls next to me that were from Lebanon, Missouri. They were out doing the cleanup of branches out in the yards. So I was very grateful we were indoors because we at least had the homeowners' air conditioners, and that did help. The first house we went to, Lorraine's, like Jeff said, they just did one ceiling and one spare bedroom, and Lorraine kept saying how grateful she was that she had so little damage compared to other people, and it was just one ceiling and one spare room. So, and the guys that were good at power tools jumped in and started doing that, and so the rest of us, we kind of just tried to haul out the junk and, you know, kind of make ourselves useful, hauling stuff out to the rubbish pile out on the curb. But I kind of tried to stay out of the way, you know, a lot of the time when I wasn't needed, so I got to actually visit with her. I had the best part because I got to talk to the ladies and kind of get to know them. I'm a social worker. I work with people, so I'm used to that. But so I felt like I got to use some skills that the guys said, well, I'm glad you were talking to her. I'm not good at talking. Well, I guess God had a purpose for me too. So I was really glad. And it's really hard, you know, when you see that they're real people and they have these needs. And I felt like I just wanted to do more for them, and we didn't. But we were there, did what we could. And Lorraine was really great. She actually lives in New Hampshire half the year, comes down to Florida for the summer. So she was actually home in New Hampshire when the storm hit, and she was really watching everything on the news and weather. She had her, you know, just avidly was watching as the storm hit, wondering if she was going to have a home to go back to. And when she got back, she was very grateful that she had so little damage based on the neighbors beside her. So, yeah, she kept saying how lucky she was, and Scott got to share the plan of salvation with her. She's Catholic. She grew up Catholic, and she believed in God and everything. And she didn't pray a prayer to get saved, but he left a little pamphlet with her, and she said she would read it, and she was grateful she got the Bible. And so I'm just praying that she does make a decision. And then we got her done by noon, went over to Mill's place, and the Mill was the one that really impacted me because she had the most damage in her home. We had to haul out tons of stuff. She's not a hoarder, but she had a lot of stuff. And her mom had died, and she acquired some of her mom's belongings, as people do. So her house was full. She had a heap there was already a pile out at the curb that she had some friends that had come and helped her already, but they all got sick because of the mold. They wore masks, but she said she didn't think their masks were good enough. And they had like no appetite, headache, just didn't feel good for several days. So her friends left and couldn't do any more to help. So when we got there, I mean, they had some of her belongings already out on the carport, and she was so grateful that she had a double wide driveway because and it had a roof over it, you know, so they had already brought out some of her furniture, the things that they could save, they had on the driveway there. And then we hauled all the rest out, and it was kind of hard to see maybe in the pictures, but like the pile was so big, and then we probably made it 4 times bigger by the time we were done. That was all junk that had to go out. Her bed, all of her furnishings, most all of them. And then we brought stuff out that she was going to sort through later. So we left a pile in the front yard and on the carport driveway. And she kept saying how overwhelmed she was, that she could have never done this by herself. And I assured her there's no way I could have either. I mean, you know, and us women that don't really know how to do power tools, we don't know how to tear out drywall and all that. And I assured her that that's what these guys are for. They're going to help you. You know, we'll get it fixed up. And so when they got all the mold out, you know, I just felt like we could have done more. I felt so bad because we were leaving her with all her stuff that was going to take weeks to go through, if not months. And Scott helped me realize, he said, no, we did what we came to do. We came in to get the mold out so she could get back in her home. And that's what we did. So, you know, I'm just praying that her friends come back and help her now go through her stuff, and that she can get her furnishings, get a bed again, and get back out of that tent. Because she was sleeping in that tent, and it was so humid and hot. I don't know how she could sleep. And she was just this little thing and had a little back brace. She was complaining of back pain. And so I just encouraged her. And Meals on Wheels came and brought her a meal that day. I encouraged her to eat. I think she finally sat down and had a little salad or something. And we took a lot of water breaks, which that was great. And she was funny because She's actually from New Jersey, but I think she lives in Florida year-round now. But she'd say, she called it Wooder, take your water breaks. Make sure you take a water break. And she kept telling the guys, you're working too hard. You need to slow down. You need to take a break. And we assured her, no, we're okay. But I loved her. She was fun. And talked a mile a minute, so I guess that's why I get along with her. But, yeah, she was great. And so we got to minister to her. She told me that she did give her life to the Lord when she was a kid. I'm not sure, but, she had some kind of beliefs, I think. And then it took 2 days. We finished, we worked all afternoon at her place the first day, went back the second morning, took till noon to finish because we had to go back through and finish the last utility room. She had all of her mom's things in there, and we had to help her kind of decide what to sort. And I was so proud of her because it'd be so hard to know what to throw away and what to keep. And she'd look at it, nope, it's just stuff, I don't need it. And she would throw it away. And so I encouraged her, and I thought she was great for not hanging on to that stuff. But we finally got it all done. And then that was Wednesday, I believe. And then Wednesday morning, we got done at noon, went then to the nursery where the guys did all the ceilings in that house. That was that big 2-story house. And in that house, it was mostly the ceiling that Jeff's pictures were showing you was the master bedroom, and it was master bedroom and master bathroom. And the shower in the master bathroom was all full of the insulation and drywall because the roof above there's a big hole in the roof. So they had blue tarp up above that. So it was this huge walk-in shower. I mean, the whole family could fit in that, it looked like. But Matt and I shoveled all that out. It was real deep with junk. We shoveled all that out and got that cleaned out. But they were very nice people, too. And then when we got done there, no, I'm back up. I skipped one. The third house we went to was the nursery, yeah. And that was the same one with I'm getting myself mixed up. Yeah, so we got that done, and he was the one that told us what beach to go to, I think, right? Yeah, he was the one that told us which beach to go to, so we went, and he told us that Venice is actually the shark tooth capital of the world. I was so disappointed. We didn't find any shark teeth. I'm sure it's picked over. I wanted to find a shark tooth, but we did pick some shells, which I'm sure are worthless, but to us they're fun, so we don't get to the ocean often. But so we did get to go see that, and Jeff had all the pictures there and of the Gulf. So that was a nice treat after a hot, hard day of work that we could go and dip our toes in the water for a little bit. And then the next day we went and did the last house was the 2-story house where we had to tear out the ceiling. That house was so hot because we were upstairs. I don't know that they had the air on very cold, but that one was hard. But we did get it all done, and they were very gracious people. So we just enjoyed working with the people. And I had a Bible verse I was going to share with you guys. I read this last spring or winter sometime out of the Our Daily Bread devotional. And I was reading it one morning, and I thought, I read it, and then I reread it, and then I read it again. And I thought, well, this really fits for my job working with people. So I taped it to my monitor, my computer monitor at work, but I also shared it with the group because I thought it fit there too, and I'm going to read it to you. And this is Hebrews 6:10 out of the NIV version. It says, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. So that's an encouragement to me to, just keep working with people and showing him love, because that's when you are working with people, that's what you're doing, is you're actually showing them his love. And I was, we prayed for these 4 people that we helped. I still pray for them that they will get their places cleaned up. When we were at the last house, the older gentleman that owned the house was sitting there watching I thought it was Weather Channel, but maybe, I don't know what it was for sure, but they had weather on there and news. And I heard them saying that people that had, and I think it was Hurricane Rita they were talking about on the TV, that 4 years later, they still are trying to get their houses put back together. And I know that these, when we have a storm here and you hear roofers all over town for the next couple of years, they're busy, I know that those drywall companies, those contractors, they're going to be swamped. And it's going to take years, I think, for them to get their houses back together. So it's just, it's an ongoing need for them. I'm still praying for them that they get everything, between the insurance companies and the contractors, that they get their homes back together and don't have to sleep in tents anymore. So, do you have anything to add, Matt? Or you want to say a few words about your experience? So anyway, I was blessed. I was glad I got to go.
So I'd just like to share a story that Mill told us. She said when the hurricane was coming, she had a friend call her, and it was the last voicemail she got before the phones went down. She said her friend said, "You need to get out there now." So in a panic, she was trying to grab all of her belongings, all the things she would need, her most prized possessions, and she was getting out of there. And then 3 days later, she comes back. Her whole street is flooded, and you saw in the picture there were like 2 feet of water. And she couldn't even get in her house yet, so she had to wait a few more days. So as sad as this is, it makes a great opportunity for us to share the gospel, because they have such a great need, especially those older ladies who don't have the energy, don't have the skills to do this themselves. Yeah, it's just good to share God's love, serve His people. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. I don't see where they went. Wow, isn't that amazing how God is using people from here in places such as Florida after a hurricane? That's amazing that God is working in those places. It's just a comfort to see. And are you sure you don't want that vacuum? Well, it's powerful. Well, we're going to go to the Lord in prayer, and I invite you this morning, if you do not know who Jesus is and what He's done for you, that you'd find someone, anyone here, and we can tell you what it's all about. And let's just go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you so much for blessing our church with people who will go out and serve. Thank you, Lord, for giving us the power to pray for these people. Because even when it feels like there's nothing we can do, there's always prayer. Lord, I pray as we go out into the world that we would be reaching people in service, just in our day-to-day lives, Lord. Thank you for sending your Son so that we don't have to be apart from you, Lord, for saving us from our sins. And I pray that you would help us go out into the world and to proclaim your word resoundingly. For it's in your name we pray. Amen. We're going to close out this morning with My Soul Will Wait.